Hello again, guys. Today, we're gonna take a trip back in time, in a manner of speaking. 7.5 months back in time, to be precise. Because we're gonna talk about the DJI Mavic Pro. Now, the Mavic Pro, if you're not familiar with it, was DJI's first step into more portable drones. Before owning the Mavic Pro, I owned the Phantom 3 Standard, and I'd taken a look at a lot of other Phantom drones. They were kind of big, they're kind of bulky, kind of hard to transport. This was their first step in being able to have something you could stick into your backpack or into a large jacket pocket, a very large jacket pocket, and take along with you wherever you go. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and go back to December 8th, 2016 to take a look at what comes in the box with the Mavic, go through the initial setup process and everything, and then we'll be right back. So let's open it up and take a look at it. So when we do open the box, that's it. We'll flip it around to make it easier to see. So here is the controller. It's about the size of a toy. These two little guys on the bottom should flip out. That's actually a lot more sturdy than I thought it was going to be. And it sort of adjusts all around to deal with different sizes. And you may be able to see there by default it does have a lightning connector in it for your iPhone, but presumably that can be changed out. Yeah, it looks like it can. I've heard several people mention that it could. Yeah, it just pulls out right here. It's actually micro USB on the other end. Other than that though, you've got these two antennas that just fold up like that, give you a little bit more range. The range on this thing is ridiculous. It is not meters or feet, it is miles. Just went ahead and pulled up the DJI website about this. It says the max flight distance is 8 miles. Realistically, here in the States, that's not going to be an option because of the FAA regulations. You have to keep it within line of sight, and generally speaking, 8 miles is outside of line of sight for most people. I'm loving this controller so far. Think about it. You put your phone down in here, you've got your two sticks. They're a little bit sharp on top, but they actually fit really nicely with DJI's branding stuff. Up, down, left, right, up, down, left, right. There's a return to home button, a dedicated button. There's the power button over here. There's a sport mode switch on the side that by default was in sport mode. There's two little triggers on the back here, two rolling knobs, one that actually spins all the way around. This one just goes left and right. This is presumably the gimbal. Record button, photo button. Over here is the power. Oh, all the cables. And it appears they also included micro USB to micro USB and micro USB to USB Type-C. So you're covered no matter what. It also had some of these extra little adapters here. When you push this guy out of the back here, it's got a little ring around it to help hold it in place. There's also a micro USB cable included, half of a power adapter, all kinds of instruction guides, so quick start guide. An in-the-box list, an intelligent flight battery safety guidelines, disclaimer and safety guidelines, and DJI Care refresh. And then as I was saying a minute ago, you do have this battery adapter, so you simply plug the two together like that. This will attach to your battery, and there's actually two USB ports on here, and it says it's 5 volt 2 amp output total on the USB ports, which means 5 volt 1 amp or up to 2 amps per one port. It's not to charge your phone, but if you need to, you can. And then the drone. And there's, interestingly enough, two little pouches in here underneath it. Now what I'm noticing first and foremost is these top two motors do not have blades on them, so presumably these two bags have blades in them. Yes, there's a grand total of 4 blades, aside from the two that are on the underside of the drone. And just looking at these, you can tell one is gray, one is black, gray, black. All right, so here is the drone. And as you can see, it's a teeny tiny little form factor. I mean, my hand can basically cover almost the entire thing. And to get started, you just fold out the wings. There you go. Fold out the bottom. And actually one of the things I was primarily concerned about with this was that it was not going to be very strong, very sturdy, but that is actually pretty significant. I mean, I can push down and actually pull the whole arm down and under, but that's kind of the point. The blades here are not one fixed blade, but they actually fold themselves out like a helicopter blade when they're needed. And they just stow up like that when they're not. And there, inside of this frame, you can see the entirety of the drone. I'll go ahead and put these extra blades on. So instead of spinning it on, you push it on and twist, and it locks itself into place. I think that's how the Phantom 4 went. I didn't buy a Phantom 4 though. So looking at the rest of the drone besides the propellers, it's actually got little labels on everything. It says 1, unfold the arms forward. Done that already. And then on the underneath here, it says unfold the rear arms downward. Already done it. There's a little flip down section here. I can get my fingernail in there. I'm not entirely sure what you can see of that, but there's a micro SD card slot here as well as a little switch that says Wi-Fi and RC. And inside of there, there's actually a 16 gig micro SD card included. Just slide it right back in. Close that door up. The door is very stiff. On the back, there's some air vents and a little LED. On the other side, there's another one of these doors. That's a little easier, with a micro USB port. On the underside, you can see some of the magic here with the stereoscopic and the vision sensors. There are also vision sensors on the front here. They've actually got little protective covers on them I'm going to go ahead and take off just to make sure. There's another little notice here on the top. It says turn on and off the power. Press once, then press again and hold for 2 seconds. Be sure to remove the gimbal clamp before power on. So we'll take this off. And then here on the front, you may have noticed the camera itself is actually covered up. So there's this part that goes to just cover it up, but then there's also the plastic cover that holds it in place, and a clamp, which I didn't even see until just a second, just like that. And that's going to be a little difficult, but I may hold on to that just in case. Don't know how necessary it'll be, but still, it's pretty easy to reinstall. So may hold on to that anyway. But as you can see now, the camera is free floating. It's got a little bit of a wiggle to it, and it can move around, left, right, up, down. The battery, if I go ahead and tap on it, it apparently has 1 dot of charge. So before I go any further, I've actually got to go ahead and charge the batteries. To charge the battery, you should simply just have to pinch here on the sides and lift up. And you can see the connector is right here on the bottom. The battery's rated capacity is 3,830 milliamp hours, but basically we're just going to take the battery and the charger, plug it in like that, plug it into the wall. And I did skip a little bit of time here. Basically what I ended up doing was charging the batteries, setting everything up, and going through that initial pairing and firmware update process. And now we'll resume with that old footage again. Update complete. And now it shows that we are connected, and we do have the option to go fly. If I tap that, it says to activate it. We agree to the DJI UAS terms of use, give it a name, select control mode, customizable buttons, so you can center the autofocus or playback, all of these other things you can do. Has a walkthrough of the LCD screen over here, and preferred units. I'm going to go with Imperial because that's where we are. Beginner mode, we'll leave it in beginner mode for right now. That's a max of 98 feet, a distance of 98 feet, so it's not going to take off on me. I'll take it out of that very quickly. And then I got to sign in to activate. Then there's some info in here about beginner mode, home point recorded, turn off beginner mode in the settings menu. Okay, it says we're ready to go in beginner mode. And there you have it. And I will go ahead and admit it, in the last 7.5 months, I've probably flown this drone a grand total of maybe 6 or 7 times, which is an absolute shame. But here's just a smattering of footage that I've got from the drone, from one sunset flight that I took here at my home, as well as a quick flight I did when I went down to Sevierville to Gatlinburg, Tennessee with my family a few months back. Now, some of the really cool things about this drone, if you're not familiar with it, it's a 4K drone. It has a 3-axis gimbal. I probably said all this in the earlier unboxing portion, but to be able to get 4K in something of this size, with the type of quality they've got in this, was basically unheard of before they released the Mavic. I have a feeling they will probably release a newer version of this sometime this year or maybe early next year, which kind of stinks. They've already gone ahead and released the Spark, which is even smaller, and you've probably already seen my video on that. If you have not, link down below. But just very early impressions of this. I love how portable and how compact this is. It's not exactly compact enough for me to take it every single place that I go, but it's just slightly larger than the DJI Spark, so it is probably your best option to get amazing quality footage with a really small form factor if you're willing to pony up for it. There are 3 different options for this available, if I remember correctly. You can get just the Mavic itself with 1 battery with no controller, so you have to fly it using Wi-Fi, which means you have horrible range, and that's $799. If you've already got the controller, maybe you've got another Mavic and you're just wanting a spare, $799 will get you just the Mavic. $9.99, which is what I paid, gets you everything you saw in the box earlier. So you get the drone, you get the controller, you get a battery. It's just the next step up. So you're paying an extra $200 for the controller. And then there's the Fly More combo, which the last time I checked was $12.99. That was the MSRP. It may be on sale. It comes with a couple extra batteries, a battery charger, a shoulder bag, a bunch of extra stuff. I just didn't really want to go with that at the time. But so far, every time that I've flown this, I've been very pleased with it. I love the fact that it's got the vision sensors all over it. The video quality is absolutely amazing. That's just sort of DJI's way of doing things. So if there's anything else you'd like to know about the Mavic, or you'd like to see about it, or maybe you'd like to see me compare to the DJI Spark, I'm thinking about doing a couple of videos about that. Let me know what you'd like to see down in the comment section below. But thank you, as always, for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this quick video that turned into a long one because of all of that super old footage I had to get out of the archives. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not already to subscribe to the channel so you get notified whenever I do put out new videos, be those videos about drones or cameras or phones or whatever else tech-wise I want to talk about here, or maybe other stuff too. And make sure to hit that like button if you liked the video, hit the dislike if you didn't like this, if you didn't like the product or the way that I presented this or the fact that it took me 6-7 months to do it. Sorry. But just thank you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And I'll see you again next time.